All right, today we are going to completely dismantle a really common, honestly pretty outdated stereotype. When you hear the term poor countries or underdeveloped nations, it's super easy to just picture this fixed state of being, right? Like a snapshot of scarcity that never changes. But the reality on the ground tells a fundamentally different story. Developing economies are actually incredibly dynamic. We're talking about highly active systems going through profound, rapid structural shifts. So this explainer isn't just about what an economy lacks, it's about the anatomy of a massive, real-time transition.
Now, looking at a global economic map, you'll see those less developed areas highlighted, places like various Asian and African nations. But what a static map doesn't capture is the sheer motion happening on the ground. Workers are literally transitioning right now from traditional farming into modern industries. Government officials are out there launching brand new welfare schemes, and local entrepreneurs are aggressively building capital. So yes, they definitely start with some tough foundational challenges, but these regions are actually environments of rapid structural transformation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our blueprint for understanding these active transitions. First, defining developing economies. Second, rising income and capital. Third, shifting occupational distribution. Fourth, employment and living standards. And finally, upgrading technology and people.
All right, starting with Section 1, defining developing economies, which is about way more than just low income.
So a developing economy is essentially defined by two main things. It's a country with a low real per capita income, yes, but crucially, it possesses the potentiality of development. You see, it isn't defined just by the capital it lacks today, but by its massive, coiled potential for tomorrow. Nations like India, China, and various African countries are prime examples of this incredible potential energy just waiting to be unleashed.
Let's move to our second section and see how this builds, rising income and capital and the entrepreneurial shift.
When we analyze these economies, sure, the baseline is low, but the trajectory is pointing firmly upward. Yes, the per capita income of individuals is low compared to developed nations, but, and this is a big but, it shows a powerful rising tendency. It isn't stagnant at all. Thanks to some really tangible improvements in education and training across these nations, we're seeing a direct increase in much better employment opportunities.
And what's driving that upward trajectory? It's a profound shift in capital formation. There's this huge, increasing emphasis on self-reliance and interdependence among nations to improve their growth structure. At the absolute heart of this is a strong, highly motivated entrepreneurial class. These folks aren't passive participants, they are active builders. This dedicated class of entrepreneurs is actively building capital and making substantial changes to the very shape of the economy to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor.
Moving right along to Section 3, shifting occupational distribution from the fields to the factories.
And this brilliantly illustrates a major structural shift. Traditionally, in underdeveloped economies, agriculture is the main occupation, what we call the primary sector, and it can sometimes employ 70 to 85% of the entire population. However, the true mark of a developing economy in transition is a massive migration away from agriculture. The primary sector's contribution to the national income gradually declines, while modern industries and services start taking over.
So the occupational distribution steadily changes in favor of those secondary and tertiary sectors. People are moving out of the fields and into industrial factories, banking, transportation, information technology, the whole shebang. This migration is literally the defining hallmark of an economy in rapid structural motion.
That brings us to Section 4, employment and living standards, and how these nations are tackling chronic challenges.
Now, transitions of this magnitude are never perfectly smooth. Yes, chronic unemployment remains a grave and widespread issue in both rural and urban areas. You also see a lot of disguised unemployment, where people might look employed but aren't really adding to overall productivity. But running right alongside these historic systemic issues are some really aggressive modern solutions. We're seeing a gradual, active improvement in the standard of living and fundamentally better hygiene and sanitation facilities being developed for the poor. Now, what's really interesting here is that this improvement in living standards isn't just happening by accident. It's driven by massive collective interventions. Government officials are actively launching new social welfare schemes to provide free education, free health facilities, and desperately needed sanitation upgrades. It's a very intentional effort to elevate the common people and bridge societal gaps. Finally, Section 5, upgrading technology and people, which is all about the human capital drive.
Look, an economy absolutely cannot fully transition without upgrading its people. Initially, yes, the quality of human capital in these nations is poor, usually marked by low literacy ratios and pretty inadequate health facilities. But this is countered by deliberate human capital drives. We're talking massive, planned efforts by the government aimed directly at improving literacy rates and providing essential healthcare.
And as the human capital improves, so does the technology. Workers are being actively trained on modern machinery. Production techniques are shifting away from those old, labor-intensive methods toward newer paradigms. This simultaneous upgrading of both people and machines directly and aggressively boosts the nation's productivity, its output, and overall economic growth.
So the crucial point to take away from all of this is that one word right there: potentiality. As we've seen throughout this explainer, a developing economy isn't some sad, static picture. It's an intricate anatomy of transition. It's the shifting of workers into new modern industries, the intentional upgrading of human health and education, and the incredible drive of motivated entrepreneurs.
We want to leave you with this provocative thought. We've looked at the blueprints, the policies, and these massive structural shifts. When you combine a highly motivated entrepreneurial class with massive planned technological and human upgrading, the momentum becomes absolutely staggering. So with all that in motion, how fast will these transitional nations leverage their potentialities to completely reshape the global economy? It's a fascinating transition to watch unfold, and we hope this explainer gave you a great framework to understand exactly how it works.